Tonight's species is certainly a favorite at your local sushi restaurant. They can be caught throughout the state of Florida, jigging, trolling, or by chumming. Nevertheless, when you catch a blackfin or a yellowfin tuna, you know that your dinner will certainly be a treat. We're talking tuna here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, powered by Harbor Trucks and presented by Yamaha.
The Bite is back this week on an all-new Florida Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle, and of course, Captain Rick Murphy. And you know, Rick, we're hot off the Mother's Day weekend, which we hope all the mamas out there got the day they so well deserved. But we are moving into this weekend where tuna is the talk of the town. Absolutely, and I know in your world, when you're talking about tunas, that means some sushi in your mouth, Brie.
Sushi in my mouth, yep,
You love
the tuna. And so if you don't love tuna, then you just might as well just give up offshore fishing. That's only my opinion. Especially this weekend. Okay, Dave's always got something to say over at the CCA workbench, but I know he's got quite the mouthful to talk about getting into some tuna today, don't you, Dave?
Yep, he's usually what we're fishing for when we fish out of here. It's the wahoo tuna and the dolphin because they all taste great. And that tuna, he's the winner, in my opinion. And the worst thing in the world you can do to one is put fire on it.
Yep.
Don't put fire on your tuna.
Don't put fire on your tuna.
No fire on your tuna.
Tuna dinner. All right, let's start tonight off with Captain Ronnie Houston with an exciting tuna report from the Bell Southwest region. Hey, Ronnie.
Well, like always, it's a pleasure representing the Bell Southwest region. And it's also a pleasure seeing that we've got a consistent weather pattern at northeast, east, and southerly, winds. So hopefully this week you guys can get out for the weekend and go by what we talk about for these tunas. Captain Corey McGuire to the north part of the region reports, when targeting blackfins, be aware of your surroundings, whether it's bait schools or any other signs of surface activity. Now, he's also telling me water clarity is a big factor, like a big color change with the bait on the edge of it is a great place to start. And when you see something like that, he suggests trolling Rapala X-traps in like the 20 to 25-foot depth. He's telling me the favorite colors he likes to use is blue and black or purple. Those are the two best colors. He says, he catches a lot of his tuna by bycatch. Always have a free line bait out while bottom fishing, whether it be pilchards, cigar minnows, or Spanish sardines. He strongly suggests 40-pound braid and a 6,000 to 8,000 spinning reel with a 6-inch short piece of wire in case there's some kingfish around. But he's also telling me if you're consistent about putting a free line bait out at every stop, you will be surprised by the bycatch, and whether it be tuna, kingfish, or wahoo, and even sailfish. Try to start practicing that pattern, and you'll see how many more bycatch, especially tuna, you might be catching. And I got a couple great fish that he's catching right now up in the northern end of the region. Those are some quality fish he's catching right now by simply practicing the pattern I just talked about. Now, on the offshore side, the permits. Captain Steve out of Naples on the Misbehaven's telling me with moderate weather from Marco to Fort Myers Beach, maybe out to about 5 to 20 miles, he's telling me right now it's game on for the permits. But also Captain Brian Sanders down south of the Everglades region, he's telling me wrecks are holding good numbers, some more than others. He's also telling me you got to have patience, and this is a run-and-gun bite, and that's the game. Both guys are telling me live crab seems to be the best bait, but if you can't get the crabs, live shrimp, bucktails, tipwood shrimp are also working. And I got a picture of a fish that was just caught in the Collier part of Naples, one of the artificial reefs. So get out there. Permit fishing seems to be on fire right now. Now, when we go to the inshore side, we're going to talk about the tarpons. Captain Danny Lathan is telling me right now the tarpon fishing right now to the north is in full swing. Fort Myers Beach to Stump Pass, at the passes and the beaches. He's also telling me you can find these fish out to about 20 foot in depth. He's telling me crabs, pinfish, and threadfins, either free lines or under a cork, have been working. But Captain Josh Greer up to the north from Westwall Outfitters, who really specializes in fly and light spin, says to look for these fish also out on the beaches. But he says if the wind picks up, you can get in the back country of the Pine Island Sound area for smaller fish. He's telling me you want to throw classic tarpon patterns, like the tarpon toad or the EP bait fish. But if you want to use light spin, 4 to 6 inch swim baits have been working. And I got a nice picture of a tarpon release just caught while fishing with Captain Danny Latham. Also on the inshore side, the snook. Those are also in full swing right now from the 10,000 Islands along the outer Gulf Islands. But you know what? We talk about going out in the boat. The guy who doesn't have a boat, he can fish the beaches all along the coast right now. You can walk the beaches and passes. Key points for this pattern is clean water, when we don't have these westerly winds and you want to concentrate on a high tide, you want to fish the area that's in the first trough and also tight to the water's edge. Light tackle, you can use maybe a 30 size Inspira from Akuma, or if you get into some bigger fish, maybe bump up to like a 4,000 Helios. 20 to 30 pound fluorocarbon in that clean water along the beach, because those fish are really spooky and finicky. You can also use white bucktails or the olive-colored Fitch and mullet. I strongly suggest the number 6. The other number 8's a little too big. Use the number 6. And for the fly guy, white or tan laser minnows. But to match the hatch, a fly with some olive on top, with some white on the bottom, and also with some big eyes will definitely do the trick. Weather's looking great for the weekend, guys. Get out, catch you some fish.
Thanks for starting us off, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Caddy Can hotspots from the Southwest region. He says inshore redfish, Matlacha, Indian Fields, and Two Pines at the top of the high along the mangroves using cut mullet, ladyfish, pinfish, chum with live pilchards, and then offshore, mangroves, lanes, and yellowtail snappers. Stump Pass to Fort Myers Beach, fishing the wrecks and ledges in 85 to 105 feet of water, chumming and dropping back little small cut bait, Brie.
All right, now in the Fish Bites East region, we have Captain Ed Zyak filling in for Mike Holiday, where the blackfin bite is on fire from Boynton down to Pompano. Tell us about it, Ed.
That's right, y'all. This is the best month for chasing blackfin tuna in the southernmost portion of my region. From Lake Worth Inlet south of Pompano Beach, there's an incredible blackfin tuna bite. Just find the Spanish sardines or the kingfish, and you found the tuna. The best bite seems to be at dawn or late afternoon from about 160 to 300 feet of water on live sardines. If you're looking for yellowfin tuna, you can make the 70-mile run to an area just north of Walker's called the Pocket. Fire up your radar, looking for flocks of birds, and you'll find the tuna. You can control ballyhoo or lures like purple-colored lip plugs, or get out ahead of the fish and chum or pitch out live baits. Right now, the average blackfin tuna is about 20 pounds, while the average yellowfin anywhere between 40 and 70 pounds.
All right, what else you got
offshore
for us offshore, bub?
Our mutton snapper bite. And really, the last couple summers, we've had amazing mutton snapper bites. Probably the best I've seen in years. And it looks like this year is going to be about the same. This bite stretches throughout the entire region. But the best stuff really is around the old shipwrecks in St. Lucie County, the 6 Mile Reef off of Stewart, the Loran Tower Ledge, and the reef off of Juneau Pier. And we're just starting to really see sardine schools up in southern Palm Beach County, so the fish are more keyed in on pilchards, cigar minnows, or grunts. The water's been super clear. You want to use at least 40 feet a leader. These fish can be leader shy. The average mutton snapper is 6 to 16 pounds. So I've got a photo here. This is Captain Jonathan Earhart of Chaos Fishing Adventures with a nice mutton. They caught this on the 6 Mile Reef, and I know that fish ate a live pilchard.
All right, what do you got for me inshore, bub?
Inshore, snook bite is really, really good. We're starting to see the first wave of the larger fish push into the inlets for the summer spawn. The majority of the fish are still smaller males, but I've got plenty of reports this week of slot, just under slot fish being caught in all the inlets. We've also been getting quite a bit of wind, and that's really fired off the bridge bite at night. Jupiter, Stewart, and Fort Pierce are all good. There's even a few fish coming off the fenders of the Old Hope Sound Bridge. The inlet fish will take soft plastic swim baits, dark green, brown, and thrown a lot of purples lately. That's worked really well. Or you can pitch, of course, a live threadfin or pilchard along all the rocks. Big jigs and swimming plugs are working great on the bridges. There's also a good swim bait bite going on to spillways in Jupiter and Stewart on the days when the water's running, of course. The average snook right now is 5 to 15 pounds. Unless you were on my boat this morning, then they were way bigger. We had an awesome morning. I have a good photo here. This is Stan and Mike. They're doubled up on a couple overslot fish, and they were just tossing live mullet along the shorelines of St. Lucie Inlet.
Those are some nice fish, bub. All right, tell me about the triple tails.
Well, right now, bait's been a little bit tough the last couple weeks, but you can always grab you a couple dozen shrimp and just run the channel markers and crab buoys from Jensen Beach Causeway all the way to Fort Pierce. And you're going to expect to throw at least half a dozen triple tail each morning. Seems like there's more fish on the crab buoys, but definitely the bigger fish are coming off of blind casting to the channel markers and the manatee zone signs. You can fish a shrimp and jig combo, just chuck it at the marker and let it sink. Or I like to put them on under a cork with some 30-pound fluoro, maybe a 2-0 circle hook, and just let the wind or current kind of drift your bait into that structure. The average triple tail is 48 pounds. Fish this week were up to 12 pounds.
All right, well,
freshwater.
Yeah, tell me about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's definitely heating up. It's summer in South Florida, so everything is warming up. The peacocks are starting to pair up and make their spawning beds. So you can walk the shorelines of most lakes from Palm Beach to Homestead and sight catch these fish. In the canals of Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties, the school fish are super active at dawn and dusk. And while the midday bite live shiners are working pretty steady in C100 and C13 canals. And airport lakes, turnpike lakes, and Lake Ida are all producing fish up to about 6 pounds. Now, for the baits, we like to throw small topwater plugs like the old tiny torpedo. Throw that right along the shorelines at first light. But if you're sight casting the fish, I like small jigs, lipless crankbaits, even small wrapless swimming plugs are really hard to beat. Peacock bass eat fish. They don't eat insects and worms like a black bass. So the average peacock now is 2 to 5 pounds, but this is the time of year where you'll start seeing guys show up with some really big fish being caught. Most anglers right now are catching between 15 to 20 fish on a trip, so get out there and have you some fun.
All right, thanks for helping us out this week, Ed. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the TH Marine hotspots from the East region. Eddie says that inshore, Tarpon and Fort Pierce Inlet on the outgoing tide, float a live mullet or slow troll some swimming plugs. And then offshore, Golden Tile in 700 to 800 feet of water off of the breakers, use a whole squid on a 7-0 circle hook.
Man, Ed's getting me all psyched for summer.
Yeah, man,
Pumped
it's
up
here.
on big fish. It's here,
Whew.
but it's like technically not here, but it's here.
No,
Anyways,
it's here.
Okay, it's fine. It's here. I'll listen to you this time, just this once. All right, the Discover Crystal River Northwest region is coming in hot next on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, but let's see what kind of tuna talk Dave Ferrell has at the CCA workbench for Academy Sports Rigs and Technique.
Well, we're talking about tuna, and I'm going to tell everybody a little tip about the island lure that nobody knows about, really.
Ooh.
It's very secretive. Very secret about using that island lure.
We'll be back with the secrets.
Secrets.
It's top secret.
Secrets don't make fun.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Always in the game. Sirius XM Marine. Weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. And Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
here at the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques at the CCA workbench. And
Yes, sir.
Dave, tunas is something that you've been teaching me about for a long time. So go ahead.
Well, we're talking about tunas, and in Florida, you know, tunas get a lot of pressure. You know, they're very good to eat. Everybody wants to catch them. So they get pounded on pretty good. And that makes a fish that's kind of wary in the begin with even more so. You know, they're tough to catch sometimes. It's tough to get a bite out of them sometimes because they get hammered so much. You know, just the sound of a boat will sometimes send them down, you know, if you get close to them. But what we're doing here in Florida is usually you're trying to locate the birds. And once you find birds, you'll usually find the tunas. And obviously this is going to be in pretty deep water. They like clear, clean water, usually warm water. And when you find birds and working real hard over an area that's good ways offshore and there's a lot of action there, you're probably going to find tunas. Now, if you find small pockets of birds, you know, not like a big giant bird-nado with frigates and everything, but if you just see a few little birds, a few white birds flitting around and stuff on the surface, that's probably skipjack tunas or small yellowfins or even blackfin tunas. But when you get that great big bird-nado, you know, little giant column of birds that lights up the radar pretty good, that's usually a sign that you're on some yellowfin tunas and you need to head over there. And when you get to a school of tunas, a lot of guys will make the mistake of not getting their stuff ready and coming in hot, you know, because they think the tunas are going to go down and they run through the school and send them all down and don't get a bite. The best thing to do is to hang back, you know, get your gear all set up for what you think the fish are eating. You know, if you can, get a guy up on the front and looking through some binoculars and try to see what those tunas are eating, if they're eating little things or if they're eating flying fish, and try to match the size of what they're eating. A lot of times you don't get bait because we pull too big of stuff. You know, the tunas will eat little tiny things, some things that look just like a larva with an eyeball on it. Looks like a piece of 200-pound mono with an eyeball on one end. So if you can get down to that size, you can catch 40, 60, 80-pound yellowfins that are eating really little stuff. And how you do that is you pull little things to get them to eat.
Now, do you want to pull these close or way back, Bub?
You know, usually you're going to try to get them far back because, again, like I said, tunas are kind of spooky anyway. So the further back you can get, you know, the better. Although, you know, you don't want to get to so far back that when you get a hook up, the fish is going to be a long way away from the boat either, because you got to figure every second that any fish is on is in his favor to get off. You want to catch them as fast as possible. And tunas are the same as any.
So what was your secret about the island?
The big secret about the island lure is the island lure, and especially that little tracker, but all island lures, were made because the guy didn't want to pull bait anymore. And the first thing that we do is we put baits behind all these island lures. And you don't need to put a bait behind them. That little tracker with just a couple beads and a little hook placed at the end, that is a smoking tuna bait. Tunas will climb all over themselves to eat that thing without a ballyhoo on it. Now you put a big ballyhoo on there, sometimes they won't touch it because, again, they're eating a lot of smaller things.
Maybe too big.
And that might be too big. Now if you're in if you see a bunch of, you know, 80, 100-pound tunas skying on big baits, you know, you can go ahead and pull, you know, a big cedar plug through there or another big island lure or
in the Gulf.
Exactly. And the cedar plugs, you know, every boat in South America has a cedar plug rigged up and ready to go in case they run across some tunas. And you should too. We should have at least one rigged up, all ready to go, that you can just clip on in case you see some tuna fishes, because the good thing about a cedar plug is it's idiot proof. You know, it's
good for me.
Exactly. It's a good size. it's a good size. You can pull it real fast. And it doesn't matter if it's hopping and skipping out of the water, they will still pile on it. And so, you know, the cedar plug is perfect for when you want to do that. Now, if you want to catch a great big tuna fish, the best bait in the world probably is a little tuna fish. You know, a 1 or 2 pound yellowfin, or even a little tiny skipjack or a little blackfin tuna. That's candy to a big giant yellowfin tuna. But any live bait works great. So if you can get your hands on some live baits, even a bunch of live baits, so that you can afford to stop on a place and chum with live baits, then you're really gonna
pop out a sabiki. Remember,
correct,
you got to match the sabiki with the size fish that you're catching.
Right.
So if it's goggle eyes or blue runners, you want to look at the main lines, 50-pound and 15-pound off of the
right.
side.
And R&R Tackle makes the best ones, because Ray is a bait master. He relies on getting the best bait and using it to catch bigger fish. And, if you're going to be trying to catch those big tunas, you want to catch, some big blue runners and big bonitas and those kind of things so you can catch them.
You got about 30 seconds.
Well, one thing you don't have to worry so much about your speed a lot of times. You can go pretty fast and still catch tuna fishes. You can stop and chum them up. If you're marking the fish down deep and they're not coming up for you like you want them to, usually at dawn and dusk is when they'll come up to eat for sure. But if it's in the middle of the day and you're marking a bunch of tunas down there and there's not a whole lot of current, you can start chumming and chunking and throwing out chunks and keeping a good chunk going. And sometimes those tunas will come right up behind your boat and you can feed them a chunk and catch them that way too.
We got some unfinished business here.
Yeah, there's still some more.
That was some really good stuff.
That was good. There's so much more to say, though, right, Dave?
Yeah, always.
There always is. All right, Captain Jeff Hageman's got the goods of tuna fishing and your plans this weekend. So let's listen up to hear what else you'll be catching in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region. Hey, Hag.
Hey, hard to follow after Dave. Dave pretty much covered everything, but tuna fishing right now in our region is going off. The blackfin is what we got most of. We do get the occasional yellowfin, but it's mostly blackfins. You want to get out past 80 feet of water, look for birds, like Dave was just talking about, especially frigate birds. You get behind shrimp boats is another great thing to do. We got a lot of shrimp boats in the area right now that are out there dumping their bycatch at first light. So get behind them. There'll be a lot of sharks, a lot of bonitas, a lot of blackfin tuna right behind them. But our high relief structures in that 80 foot of water and out are really good, and they hold the fish really well. So it's not like you have to go look for birds all the time. You can get on those structures that have bait on them, bring a bunch of sardines out there with you, or threadfin herring, free line them right behind the back of the boat. And like Dave was saying, chumming in our area works really well. We load the live wells up with scaled sardines and get them fired up right behind the back of the boat. But to get the yellowfin, you're going to have to get a little bit further out, 150 plus miles usually. Naked trolling, naked ballyhoo work really good. Big lip plugs work really good too. For stumbling across them, and also that cedar plug is hard to beat, like Dave was just also talking about. But moving down the road and inshore, Captain Mario Costello, Tall Tales Charters, fishing out of the Plantation Inn on Crystal River, reports a good grouper bite right now, and he's catching fish in 6 to 12 feet of water, and I said that correctly, 6 to 12 feet of water. As strange as that sounds, they're catching them as bycatch right now, drifting the flats for trout using mirror lures and little johns, and a 29-inch grouper will put up a hell of a fight on 10-pound braid. So got a couple nice photos of some fish Mario sent in, and he's catching those on trout rods. So that's a handful of fish right there.
Yeah, it is. I love it. All right, what else you got for us, bub? Any reports from Apalachicola?
Yep, Captain John Lane from Apalachicola reports. A good redfish bite right now. He's staying on the bay side of the islands. They're feeding on live baits around the marshes and grass beds and oyster bars. He's drifting live mullet or pinfish or shrimp on about a 12-inch leader on a knocker rig. Also, he's also got some triple tail that have moved in the bay, and they're hanging around that 6 foot of water. And you want to look for those around the pogie schools right now, and floating debris and crab traps. And I've got a good photo right there with Captain John sent in of a nice triple tail. Mm-hmm. Moving down to Cedar Key, Jimbo Key of Saltwater Assassin Fishing Charters reports the speckled trout bite has been decent the past week. He's finding them in clean water, so that's kind of the trick. Incoming tide seems to be the best. Glow and hot colors are anything bright right now is working really well as far as artificials. Got a few Spanish mackerel, also on some seahorse reef, and a few kingfish starting to show up there. Moving down to Ozona, Captain Jimmy Huddleston of CaptainHud.com reports a good redfish bite right now. It's been strong during the incoming tides along the mangrove shorelines in St. Joseph Sound. They're using pinfish, heavy split shots close to the hook, and the fish right now are averaging anywhere from 25 to 30 inches. He's using a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. There's also some snook moving around in that same area along the beaches. He's sight casting most of those in the swash channel, parallel to the sand, and working really close to those blood minnow schools. We've got a lot of those red minnows right now, all up and down the coast.
And a few tarpon are starting to show up. Best bet with that is pinfish under a cork, and I've got a nice photo here from Captain Jim of a hell of a redfish.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That looks
That's
good.
a good one. Tarpon bite's going good in Boca Grande. Hope you guys have a great weekend.
All right, thank you so much, Hag. Great report from the Discover Crystal River Northwest region. We're going to take a look at the anytime sunscreen and mosquito repellent hotspots. He says inshore, the snook bite in the lower region and on the outgoing tide, use pinfish, sardines as bait, and then offshore, mangrove snappers, 70 to 80 feet of water over high relief structure, use hookups and tail hooked jumbo shrimp or sardines for bait. It's, you know, Brie, he just had everything. His hotspots weren't even what his report was. It was amazing.
It's
Hageman. But its northwest region is so big and there's so many fish to be caught. So get out there, guys.
Get out there and
Come
catch
on.
one of those reds. All right. Rick, CCA Star is approaching quickly and has a division for just about every species, but no tuna division. Wah, wah. I know. But offshore anglers registered for the Star has Tiger's Dolphin Division, Cannon Kingfish, and Grouper Division, where you could win your share of $500,000 in prizes. So pick up the West Marine official measuring device after May 17th and get registered at www.ccafloridastar.com. Divisions for everything but no tuna. That's all right. That's all right. All right, we're going down to the Garmin Keys region and StarTron Central West region next here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, talking about tuna, but so much more than that. So stay hooked. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Swift, Silent, Secure, Bass Assassin, and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure. Garmin, join the club. Kubota, find a Kubota dealer near you at gokubota.com. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of new and used car and truck inventory in Southwest Florida. Our used vehicle inventory goes through a 120-point inspection process performed by certified technicians. Exclusive to Florida Insider Fishing Report viewers is our Peace of Mind Harbor Truck Warranty. If you don't see what you're looking for, give us a call and we can get it for you. Go to harbortrucks.com and click on the Florida Insider Fishing Report tab.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere, and there's no place I'd rather be. I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere, and time don't matter to me, 'cause I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere.
So we're here with Lee at Harbor Trucks, and he's our commercial and fleet manager. You know, Lee, it looks like we got a lot of inventory here. So why don't we tell the people about what's going on here at Harbor Trucks?
Do I have to? I want to go fishing with you.
All right, let's
go.
go.
Florida Insider Fishing Report. Folks, we're back, and we are so happy to see you, and we want you to come into Harbor Trucks so we can save you thousands of dollars on your next commercial vehicle or truck. Rick, one of the things that's going on this year is Nissan's partnered with the National Association of Home Builders, which gives all the people who belong to that or an affiliate to that, gets them huge discounts.
So let me ask you something. somebody comes to Harbor Trucks, what can they get from Harbor Trucks themselves incentive-wise? That's what we're talking about this week.
Absolutely. That's one of the great things, folks. I've been doing this for a long time, and I set my own pricing here at Harbor Trucks, right, and the commercial department. And one of the things that I've been doing for my clients is I will do invoice minus $500 for you coming in here and seeing me at Harbor Trucks, right? Plus all the current rebates, whatever the rebates or incentives are. Or if you're a fleet customer, you've got a fleet code. We'll get that all in. And we're talking thousands upon thousands of dollars that these people can save.
Now, is there any corporations, building associations that might get some additional incentives?
Absolutely. National Association of Home Builders, Carrier, Rheem, Ruud, Trane, most HVAC companies, Budweiser, there are just hundreds of them. Call me up, go to my website, get in touch with me, and I guarantee you I will find every dollar that is available to you.
Now remember, guys, throughout the season, the incentives from the corporate side, from Nissan National, can change. So how will that affect the pricing at times?
It's very easy. Typically, I go in and I look. Now, for the fleet client, it doesn't change a whole lot. They pretty much set it at the beginning of the year, and then they go from there. But for the regular retail customer, yes, the incentives change about the first of every month. But just give us a call or go to Harbor Trucks. We'll figure it out for you. It's still going to save you money because if I'm selling to you an invoice, MSRP is quite a bit higher than that, so you already saved thousands right there.
All right, well, good job, Lee. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, you can simply go to harbortrucks.com, or you can pick up the phone and call Lee.
So, Rick, I have a question.
Yes.
I saw a lot of white vans and trucks there. What if I want a different color?
Well, those are the commercial vehicles, so they always are white. Because
Right.
a lot of guys will wrap them, but guess what? You can get lots of those vans. Like I saw one of those vans, and I thought it'd be really cool to have that as a company vehicle when we all come up here with live audience to the studio. I was looking at one that was kind of a copper color, really badass.
So they've got everything, is what you're saying?
Yeah, they got everything with a lot of great incentives. When we started this year, they had a $15,000 off in the incentives. June 1st is right around the corner. Could be even more than that. Not
First
sure
of the
yet.
month is always a good place to go. All right, every week I get more and more excited for this, Rick. So let's talk about the Harbor Trucks giveaway. Harbor Trucks is partnered with Casa Vieja Lodge, and 2 lucky winners will get a 4-day, 3-night trip to come fish in Guatemala with Rick and I at Casa Vieja. This will be an experience of a lifetime that you won't want to miss out on, so make sure to head over to our website at FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com and enter. That is going to be one heck of a trip. Fun stuff. All right, there's a few places in the Garmin Keys region where the blackfin tuna bite is out of this world, and Captain Randy Tao is on the line to tell us how to get them on your line.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. Here in the Garmin Keys region, we catch plenty of blackfin tunas. In the last few days, because of the stormy weather and overcast conditions we've had, it's been really good for the guys going out there. Now, up in Key Largo, you don't have the offshore humps like you do in Alamorada and Marathon, and that's really where we target the blackfin tunas this time of year. And as you get down toward Key West, they target them a little differently out in the Gulf on the shrimp boats, and they also have some wrecks in the Atlantic that they fish as well. Now, if you want to catch dinner, go to the humps with a dark feather, some sort of dark lure, put it way back, and do a figure-8 pattern around the humps, and you're probably going to catch dinner. And these dinner tunas might be 5 to 8 pounds, but you catch a couple of those, and you're going to be in good shape for dinner. Now, if you want to target bigger tunas, you really want to have live bait like pilchards, and you've got to live chum these fish to get them up to the surface and catch the bigger ones. With that comes predators, and you're probably going to have some sharks that eat your tunas. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's how we catch the big ones. And in Key West, they do it a little different. I was saying behind the shrimp boats. They're in shallow water in the Gulf, and as the shrimpers are cleaning their nets, they discard all the bycatch over, and the tunas and the bonitas go crazy, and that's how they fish for them. Now, Captain Chris Trousett with Real Fly Charters, you hear me talk about him all the time because he's very good at light tackle fishing and fly fishing, and he does this a lot down there, and he's really good at it with his customers, whether you're a beginner or an expert. And I've got a picture that he sent me with Mitch and Lance with some tunas they caught on a fly rod.
Nice work, guys. Yeah, Chris is outstanding out of Key West. All right, Randy, let's talk a little. The Dolphins showed up yet, bub?
Man, the Dolphin are here. Everybody's on them. I haven't been. I'm kind of bummed, but that's okay. I've been hearing some good reports, seeing plenty of good pictures from guys. Now, it changes. You know, we had a lot of weeds. Now the weeds have kind of thinned out a little bit because they're all inshore, you know, giving us a hard time on the tarpon fishing around the bridges. But the birds are key. And you really, when you talk about birds, they are doing something in their behavior that you want to understand and recognize. And if you see some birds working, the reason they're working is because the dolphin are pushing the flying fish up to the surface, and the birds are coming down eating the flying fish. So you have fish there. You just got to get lined up with them and get in front of them to catch them. That's a key sign right now, is understanding the birds. I've got a photo from Captain Joe Hendricks. He fishes out of Bud and Mary's Marina on his boat, the Dauntless. And this is what he was doing the other day. And he caught a nice bull and a nice cow for his anglers. And also Captain Brian Cohn on the Contagious. He is a dolphin expert. There's nobody better at catching dolphin day in, day out than Brian. I've got a picture with Don, Richard, and Brian with their Mother's Day Dolphin Tournament second place finish.
Nice
Congrats.
job. Brian is
Awesome.
always so competitive, so good. What else you got for me?
Let's see, the trout fishing. You know, we talked about trout. I don't trout fish a lot, but everybody's been saying how good it is and sending me pictures. And you know what, Rick, yesterday I went trout fishing. And I'll tell you what, around Flamingo, out toward Rankin Bight, there was plenty of trout. They were big. We caught some trout up close to 5 pounds. We caught them on artificial. Popping corks were certainly the way to go. We would get a bite every cast. And it was just fun fishing. We had a soft plastic under a popping cork, and it was just nonstop for us. Captain Ted Benbow, you hear me talking about him with Skins and Fins Charters out of Islamorada. His angler, Jeremy, from North Carolina, caught this nice trout with him. He's a fan of the show as well. And I've also got a picture of Andrew with this trout he caught while we were tarpon fishing with mullet right at the bridge here in Islamorada.
Come on. All right, tell me about the snooks.
You know, the snook fishing this time of year is kind of a sleeper because everybody's focused on tarpon fishing, and they kind of lay off the snook because they're out of season, and most of the guys are busy doing something else. So the guys that know where to look, and especially around the Flamingo area and the right tides, the tides lately have been more on the higher side of the incoming tide, has been best to let that water really get up on some of these flats. And guys are sight fishing. I have a picture from Captain Richard Black with Black Fly Charters, and he's no stranger to catching big snook, but his angler caught this 37-inch snook on fly on top of the flats. And then Captain Pablo Rodriguez with Slam Time Charters out of Marathon. He fishes out of a Contender Bay boat like myself, and he fishes the shoreline. He fishes a little different, but his angler caught this 42-inch snook fishing the shorelines with live pinfish.
Well, that's what happens when you put a pinfish out, Flamingo Bub. You know, I mean, come on. All right, thank you so much. Great report this week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys region. He says inshore, tarpon, fish the bridges with bait, and then look for the fish swimming along the outside shorelines if you want to fly fish with a fly rod, and then offshore. Dolphin, look for those birds in 600 to 900 feet of water and understand that the birds are working. What they're working is going to be in your best results.
All right, there's always tournaments to talk about in the Florida Keys, so let's talk about some of them. How about that, Rick?
All right.
All right. At the Skipper's Dolphin Tournament, May 31st to June 2nd in Key Largo, prize monies are given to the top 6 teams, including $20,000 to the first place team. In the Big Pine and Lower Keys Dolphin Tournament, June 7th through the 9th, anglers contend for over $35,000 in cash prizes and awards. A $20,000 cash prize is to be awarded for the largest dolphin caught over 50 pounds. Female angler teams compete for the highest aggregate weight of 3 dolphin fish in the Ladies Dolphin Tournament, June 8th in the Upper Keys. Cash and prizes are awarded to first through third place finishers and for the largest dolphin weighed. The Ladies Tarpon Fly Tournament, set for June 11th through the 13th in Islamorada, is an all-release fly fishing challenge that has attracted many premier women fly anglers and their guides throughout its history. You can find information on all Florida Keys tournaments by going to flakeys.com. All right, Rick, I know you're Jones, and let's break out the FaceTime time machine and talk with our Captain Jeff Page in the Startron Central West region. What's going on, Jeffrey?
Captain Page here. Hey, I got a quick question. Have you ever guided in that all-woman's fly before?
Yeah, I won it twice.
Oh, no big deal.
Not every fly there is down there. Anyway, I know we're talking about tunas tonight. And pretty much in the Startron Central West region, the blackfin tuna is the #1 guy. Yes, there are some yellowfins caught, but they're way out, way out. Right now, it's been a stellar season for the blackfin tuna, in as close as 10, 12 miles, but most of the guys that are doing well on them are getting out 20 miles. They're looking for the birds. Randy touched on a lot of it. They're looking for the birds. They're looking for the bonitas crashing. And if there is a shrimp boat out there, that's a dead giveaway. You're going to be able to chum them up to the surface and get them to where you can catch one after another on a live bait once you find these fish. Like I said, they're going to be mixed in with bonitas, with mackerels, with kingfish over hard bottom areas, 20 miles on out. And it's good to have a lot of live bait when you go out there. Got a couple blackfin tuna photos tonight. I've got the first one with Captain Billy Nobles out of Tampa with 2 happy clients. And then I've got 2 other happy clients of Captain Jason Stock. And these were all fish caught in the last week.
Nice.
Staying offshore, permit. I know it sounds like a broken record, but the permit bite remains strong with lots of big permits, well over 20 pounds being taken in as close as 7 miles. But if you really want to make sure you're going to get on a good bite, work those artificial reefs and wrecks 15 to 20 miles out, and you're going to make sure you have plenty of live pass crabs, which hasn't been a problem. It's been a really good season for the crab. Probably that's why the permit fishing's so good. Guys are setting up in the passes. I saw them today, as a matter of fact, in Longboat Pass and New Pass, dipping crabs on the outgoing tide. So I've got a permit photo tonight of Brett Hall with a nice permit he caught with Captain Josh Pruner of Rippin' Lips Charters out of Anna Maria. Shifting inshore, redfish. You know, redfishing stayed pretty consistent, Rick, over the last month or two, with a lot of fish in that 25 to 32 inch range. And with the closure continuing for another year, it's only going to help us. North, around the Fort DeSoto area and Terracea Bay, and then down south in the Turtle Bay area, and also along that east wall from Burnt Store north to Pirate Harbor. On the lower stages of the tide, guys are throwing soft plastic like the Saltwater Assassin Golden Brim Sea Shad on a 1/4 ounce chartreuse jig head. And then on the higher stages of the tide, Rick, they're fishing up against the mangroves or oyster bars with cut chunks of ladyfish or even rolling a 1/4 ounce gold spoon through there. My redfish photo tonight is a young man fished with me last week, Jackson Parisi, with a nice redfish he got. And then we're going to roll right into trout. Speckled trout fishing also remains very consistent. Lots of specks in the 16 to 22 inch class range. And they're holding on the deeper grass flats, starting down south off Turtle Bay, as well as Cape Hayes Point, and also off of Bull Bay and Sandfly Key. To the north, Fort DeSoto area again, and the grass flats off Bishop's Harbor, south to Rattlesnake Key. What you're going to want to do, Rick, is you're going to throw a soft plastic Saltwater Assassin Violet Moon, which is a white bait imitation, on a 1/4 ounce jig head. You can also put that under a cork and chug it just like you do down there in Flamingo. Live bait, it's tough to beat. Having a well full of pilchards, you can free line them or you can cork them. And my last photo tonight is of Jackson JP Parisi with a trout that he got. He had a complete slam, and he had redfish, trout, and snook, and finished second place in a corporate tournament last week with him and his dad.
All right.
Well,
Well, Captain Paige, your little studio's really starting to take good shape.
It is. I like it. I like it.
I like it. Next week when you get that daiquiri deck shirt. Yeah! There it is! All right, thanks, Captain Paige. You got it in there. We're going to, speaking of daiquiri deck, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the daiquiri deck Central West region. Inshore tarpon. Groups of tarpon are starting to show up along the beaches throughout the entire region. Throw the 3-line crabs early and then thread fins later in the day, and then offshore, a red grouper. The bite remains strong in 80 to 110 feet of water over hard bottom areas off of Venice, north to Anna Maria.
That'll teach Paige to sit up straight.
That's right.
And show off your shirt, right?
That's it.
That's it. All right, we're getting down when we go up to the Yeti Panhandle region next to check out what our weekend has in store. But first, let's take a look at our store here on set and see what Dave has for new products at the workbench.
I I don't know what happened.
You look like you're in a pickle.
Yeah, I am the pickle.
You hooped yourself.
I'm hooped.
He's hula hooped.
God,
We'll be back.
That ain't no hula hoop.
Let me help
dog.
you.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. Soft Science, Supreme Comfort Footwear. Real Legends, exclusively at Bell's. Okuma, Inspired Fishing. Discover Crystal River, Florida. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
How do you aim a 36-yard shot with a 30-yard fixed pin at a 15-degree angle with a 7-inch holdover without moving a single pin? Easy. You get one of these. Zero, the auto-ranging digital bow sight from Garmin.
Well, as you can see, we have stepped from behind.
I've got legs.
The CCA workbench.
Yes.
But Dave, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about a mono hoop net.
Well, yeah, this hoop net, what's really great about this one, the Bally hoop, is it's collapsible, and we're putting it together right now. This is how long it takes to put the thing together. Boom, it's done. We've put it together already. And what's great about the hoop net is it pretty much takes the place of a cast net if you can get a bunch of bait chummed up behind your boat. Once you get a bunch of stuff chummed up behind the boat, you just you walk up to the middle of your boat or the front and you just ease that thing out and let it go and float back behind all the baits and chum them up right up on the surface and then come up underneath of them with this big hoop. On pulling them with the rope, and it just sucks them all in, with the clear ridge here on the outside and the big net, the nice clean clear net, they just suck right in there. You can pick up a really ton of baits in a little amount of time. You don't have to worry about messing your boat up with a bunch of stuff off the bottom that the cast net will drag up, all the weeds and stuff. It's pure bait usually, a little bit of chum, but other than that, they're really great for taking the place of the cast net. Ballyhoop.com.
Many years ago, I used something similar. It wasn't this company, and we used an 8-foot surf casting rod so that we could keep it out off of the boat.
Oh, I got you.
You see?
Keep it away. Yeah.
And so when it was ready to pull it in, he had the rope tied to the end of the rod. And we just lifted the rod up out of the water.
Beautiful. That's the Bally hoop at theballyhoop.com. Next, we've got some really nice sunglasses from Costa. This is the Tico version, named after the fellas down there in Costa Rica who help us go fishing, the Ticos. They've got a nice all-day wearable wrap, that keeps the sun out from the sides, integral hinge and cam inside the frame. They're a small frame glass, which I like because, I have a small front of my face. I got a small head, so I don't like to wear those big wide glasses that are usually that come with the full wrap. They have a really good place to put your keepers on. You know, they suggest you use a loop keeper for these, so you can loop them on right there. They're always 100. You know, great lenses in the Costas, 100% UV protection. These come with the vents also in the nose to keep keep from fogging up, especially if you're wearing a mask or something. And you know, really nice. That's the matte wetlands look. You know, it's a tiny bit of camo, and these are the black. Matte black, really nice looking sunglasses.
You know what else these are?
Yours.
Mine.
They're yours, that's right. All right, next we got some Prasik Smokehouse. Again, we want you guys to get online and go order you up some of this Prasik's meat products. You know, they got great stuff. Smoked meat, dried meat, fresh meat. You know,
these guys are meat specialists.
You got to go to Prasik's, man.
Yeah.
They got really good stuff. And you know, it's a Texas company. Those guys know how to take care of meat, and they do a really good job. They've been doing it since 1974. They got 75 different smoked and dried meat products available online, as well as the fresh ones, you know, big steaks and chops and whatnot. They have a big bakery area and all kinds of gift boxes and gift baskets as well.
And that's what's cool. You don't have to live in Texas. They're a Texas company. It's called Prasik.
Prasik. I'm sorry.
Listen,
Prasik.
if you guys decide you want to place an order online, go to Prasik.com and then use the code TIFR, the Texas Insider Fishing Report, for 10% discount.
Yeah, why not? All right, right away here, we've got some really cool lures from MirrOlure. These are the MirrOlure suspending twitch bait in the new Skin series. And you can tell they've got a new skin on them if you've ever used a MirrOlure. Usually have a mirror-like side, but now these are the new Skin, trying to get in on that realistic look that a lot of guys are looking for. And that's the pilchard and the shad. These things will go down like 2 feet and suspend, which is perfect for me. I love them, and they'll just dart, you know, dart at your rod tip. They'll go straight if you reel them straight, and they'll move if you move. And they're colored just like sardines and pilchards. So, and shad, actually, that's one of them's a shad. And they got really good, you know, strong hooks on there. You won't have to change the hooks off. You can catch really nice big fish with these little lures too.
And they have
MirrOlure.
smaller sizes as well.
Yep, they have the small and the bigger ones, 2 5/8 or the 3 1/8.
Go to MirrOlure.com, guys, and check out all the colors and sizes, right, Brie?
Exactly. All right, Floridians, you want tuna? Well, the Yeti Panhandle region's got the entire menu for us. So, Captain Pat, start making a stroll.
Hey, Brie, we've got good tuna fishing in the Northern Gulf, and all the players are here at some time throughout the year. The big bluefin tuna spawn in the Northern Gulf April, May, and June, and they're usually caught around the deep water floaters by live baiters targeting blue marlin. And the bluefin tuna can weigh upwards of and over 700 pounds. I mean, they're the mature fish. Yellowfin tuna are around the floaters year-round and can also be caught in the DeSoto Canyon and around the spur. And yellowfins are typically caught by live baiting with hardtails or by chunking with blackfin or bonita chunks. But they can also be caught trolling cedar plugs, ballyhoos, and some really big ones are often caught on a trolled lure. The blackfins can be caught year-round at the floaters and then near shore spring through fall. And they're often caught while live baiting for king mackerel or amberjacks, kind of as a bycatch. And in fact, this past week, quite a few blackfins were landed near shore, and our typical blackfins weigh 15 to 25 pounds, so they're pretty good-sized blackfins. Hands down, if you want to target tuna in the Northern Gulf, head to the floaters or the rigs, and with a well full of live baits, and spring and fall are the best months. There's a photo, 2 happy young anglers with some yellowfins they caught trolling ballyhoo out by the spur with Captain John Tate out of Destin.
Nice picture. Good job, Pat. What else you got?
Yeah, Rick, the king mackerel are here in good numbers throughout the Panhandle, and fishing for them has been pretty easy. First step is to fill up the live well with cigar minnows or herrings. Use a sabiki rig outside of any of the inlets, particularly during and morning incoming tide. All of the inlets also have a live bait boat where you can pull up and just buy a scoop or two and you're good to go. Take your baits, bump troll them along the buoy line or head a bit further offshore and fish them over some natural or artificial bottom structure. The kings are primarily 8 to 12 pound fish, but there's been some bonus fish in the form of dolphin, blackfins, and wahoos showing up as well. And there's a photo of Captain Chuck of Backcountry Outfitters in Destin with a beautiful wahoo, bonus fish he caught while king mackerel fishing in 70 feet of water, just right off the beach there.
Nice.
Moving inshore, Rick, the speckled trout fishing has really picked up throughout the Panhandle, and you can fish for them either in the daytime or nighttime. The daytime bite at best is first light till about 8 a.m., and in the last 2 hours of daylight, you want to target grass flats outside of the bayous and the canal mouths. Anchor up and chum with pilchers or drift and cast topwater baits, midwater twitch baits, or soft plastics. And if you're doing the casting with lures, as soon as you get a bite, drop your power pole or stop your boat and then fish that area thoroughly because they're usually schooled up. At night, you want to fish the lighted docks. Docks with current and depth can be particularly good, but don't overlook those lights that are tucked way back in the calm bayou areas. At night, you either free line a live shrimp or a small minnow. And you can also break out a fly rod, cast streamers, or shrimp imitations. And then finally, inshore, just as in the past few weeks, the red fishing remains strong in the bay and along the beaches. There's schools of fish on the beach in the gully, just off that first bar with the Shell Island beaches and the military beaches between Fort Walton and Navarre being particularly good. Jigs and soft plastics will work on the beach, but nothing beats a live cigar minnow or a herring tossed into those schools of fish. And then in the bays, the docks in Santa Rosa Sound have been producing steady redfish action, as have the flats around White Point and Choctawhatchee Bay. Gold spoons and bass assassin paddletails excel, when you're scouting for those redfish on the flats. And there's a photo of a big redfish that we caught this past week along the beach using a live bait. They refused lures that day, but he threw a baited live herring or live cigar minnow in there, and it was game on.
So, Pat, what are you going to do this weekend?
I am going tuna fishing, Rick. In fact, I'm sitting on the bow of the out of here getting it provisioned. We're leaving tomorrow.
All right, I'm going to call you on my way home. I want to talk to you about coming and doing a sportsman's adventure in July. I have some dates picked out.
Julier.
July.
Julier.
I do not lie.
Sorry.
All right, Pat, me and Brie are having a thing here. We'll go ahead and talk to you later. Thanks for a great report from the Yeti Panhandle region. It's time to check the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region inshore. Pat says speckled trout on the grass flats near Sandestin in Santa Rosa Sound using live menhaden or soft plastics. And then offshore, king mackerel bite remains very consistent on live cigar minnows or herrings.
Have you ever done a sportsman's with Pat before?
Oh, come on.
I mean,
like
how
giant
long ago?
Red, no.
Recently?
2015, giant redfish on the jetties.
Well, now you
and
gotta go
then we
offshore.
did a redfish trout. Then we had, no kidding, pulled up
Sorry,
to
I
a wreck, dropped a piece of chicken over. I was eating a chicken bone, and the red snappers came up and went, I think we're here. We said,
of course, Rick throwing chicken to snappers. It's perfect.
Come up to
Perfect.
snappers.
All right, Rick, it's that time of year again to start talking about our annual kids show coming up on June 19th. This is one of my favorites because it gives us a chance to interact with the next generation of fishing, but also the kids will get lots of cool swag and a night to remember. So if you're looking for a great way to kick off the summer for your young angler, all you have to do is head over to our website, FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com, and sign up. It's fun.
All those kids
It's
get
so
a rod and
fun.
reel. How
All
about
those
that?
Kids. That's what I mean by cool swag, guys. All right, we've still got the East Coast to cover on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, so we're going to get ready to head on over to the Central and Northeast regions when we come back. But remember to keep up with our crew and be up to date on all things fishing. In Florida, make sure to visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us on YouTube, and check us out on Instagram. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala, another great day. Startron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti, built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Oh, there it is. You can either stay busy fishing or get busy catching. From Texas to Tampa Bay or Key West to the Carolinas and beyond. For nearly 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites. Ask for Fish Bites and Fish Bites Fight Club lures by name or visit fishbites.com.
Find Florida's soul and discover Crystal River. Explore warm Gulf waters, spring-fed rivers, bountiful lakes, and fantastic fishing. Dive into adventure and enjoy the only place in the world where you can swim with the manatees. Treat yourself and your family to outdoor fun, rich history, and a relaxed coastal lifestyle. Discover Crystal River, Florida.
Hey guys, let's talk about the SiriusXM weather and what a great fishing tool it is for me. So in the sea surface temps, one of the things that I'm doing is I'm manipulating my Garmin to measure certain water temperatures so that I know where the hot pockets are during the wintertime for tarpon. So let me explain to you a little bit more in detail. I can simply go in and monitor and set the layers at different temperatures, like the magic number for tarpon in the Gulf of Mexico and Florida Bay in January and February and March is around 74. So my low temperature measurement would be 74. Then I would want to know my high temperature would be around 78. This is the perfect opportunity to be able to see all throughout Florida Bay before I actually even leave the boat ramp as to where those hot pockets are. And the reason why that works so well is because as the mud incubates on a pretty warm day, they're gonna retain heat and the tarpon are gonna gravitate to that. The other thing that we do is out in the Gulf of Mexico, we'd like to monitor for when we're cobia fishing, 68 to 72 degree water. So as our species changes, we can change the temperatures that we wanna monitor. In the summer, when it's really hot, we'll bring the low way down so that we can see if there's any cool pockets, because that might be where bait has a tendency to congregate, and who knows what we might find there. So remember that SiriusXM weather is a lot of great tools, and once you learn how to adapt to them and use them in your fishing, you're gonna make a whole lot smarter decisions.
All right, the Bell Central East region is looking pretty darn good for any hookup you fancy this weekend, and Captain Jim Ross from the Bell Central East region is here. Jim, what's up?
I'll tell you what, Brie, it's been a really good year so far for the blackfin, yellowfin, even the skipjack tuna on the eastern side of the Gulf Stream. We have had some on the western side of the Gulf Stream as well, but the eastern side seems to be a much more productive place for the guys to go check out where the blackfin tuna and of course the yellowfin, when you're over there, happen to be. You know, rig ballyhoo, flying fish, a variety of high-speed lures, they'll all get it done. The blackfin and the skippies have a tendency to prefer smaller, dark-colored lures and cedar plugs. The yellowfin have been striking slightly larger lures, and they've actually been hitting a lot of the lip diving plugs lately, like the X-Wrap Magnums in the 15 or 20 size, or the Williamson 160 Speed Pro. Purple and black mackerel color seems to be red hot right now. I was talking with Captain Charlie Silver of AnglersEnvy.com Charters out of Port Canaveral. He's been going out quite a bit, getting to the other side of the stream, and he's been pulling a lot of different fish. He says that it's a good variety right now when you get to that eastern side of the Gulf Stream. Now, Charlie said, temperature breaks are the key to finding the fish right now. It's not necessarily a weed or anything like that. Temperature breaks. He says as soon as you get to the eastern side of the Gulf Stream, you watch that temperature drop back down, and that's where those tuna have been. They've been within a mile or two typically on most days of that temperature break. And he says don't overlook the smaller packs of birds when you get over there, because a lot of times they're over big dolphin or marlin as well as the schools of the yellowfin, blackfin, and skipjack. I've got a photo here Charlie sent me of a fish, a recent catch that he had the other day with a bunch of dolphin and tunas on it. And then a second photo that Charlie sent me here for the Central East region with a really cool fish. He had a hatchet marlin. Actually, he had two of them on this past weekend. So pretty neat to be able to get out there and get a couple of those particular fish.
That
now,
is cool.
going in a little bit shallower, we're coming back into the 27 fathom ridge over the Okalina Bank that most of us know as the cones or the steeples, and that's where we're getting our gag grouper right now. Depending on which inlet you're going out of, you're going to be going 240, 260 feet of water here in the Bell Central East region. That's where you're going to find your biggest gags right now. Now, live blue runners, croakers, or some of those grunts that you can jig up off the bottom are choice baits for these big black bellies and gags right now. Also, I've also been told that you can use the Spanish mackerel, a whole Spanish mackerel, whole bluefish, or whole ladyfish, and they don't necessarily have to be alive. You can drop them down frozen. Our average gag in the region right now is really running 25 to 40 pounds, and we had, this past weekend, had quite a few fish that came in over 40 pounds, so there's some really big gags out there right now.
That's all a man wants to do. I just want to catch
swinging
a
inshore, speckled trout, Rick. Speckled trout is probably the most popular species of fish that we have, and of course our lagoon systems have them. Now, what we've realized here in the last week and a half, though, is a lot of the bigger fish have left the flats, and they've actually eased into the flats from the main lagoon system. They've eased into the saltwater marshes, and what they're doing is they're transitioning through the culvert pipes that are cut through the dikes from the main rivers like the Mosquito and Indian and Banana into those mosquito impoundments. They're back there eating these little real small fry baits. So your little speckled perch or brim-sized lures, like a little crappie dapper that Assassin makes, imitates those little hatch baits and those little hatch shrimp that are back in there. And right now, dark colors like the Mama's 14K, gold pepper shiner, or just plain old black seems to be working. And we're getting fish back in those marshes up to 30 inches.
What?
So it's pretty amazing that they're sneaking back in there, but they're getting in those real shallow impoundments. Now, my last species is tarpon. Now, the juvenile tarpon, a lot of anglers are targeting them in those same creeks, ditches, and outflows. And we've had a lot of rain this week, so those things are really stacking up in those places where there's an outflow. It's bringing those little small fry-type baits out. Now, for the bigger shrimp, or the bigger fish, you're going to want to use live shrimp, or you're going to want to use some type of a finfish bait, like a herring, a menhaden, a pilchard, a greenie. Those seem to be working good. Also, croakers are working really good along the beaches right now. Our inshore species, our baby tarpon juveniles, are 15 to 40 inches. Our bigger fish that are just showing up, those fish are getting up into that 100, 115, 120 pound range. So it's a pretty good time to be out fishing in the Central East region here in the state.
All right, Jimmy. Thank you so much. I got to pick up this iPad, otherwise you're going to be going all over the head looking like a bobblehead. Sorry.
Hey, two things real quick. Love bug season is here.
Yeah,
get your Starbright Premium Polish and get it on the front of your boats, trucks, cars, whatever it is you're dragging down the road, get it on there. And the second thing is, congratulations to Captain Ed Dwyer. He just won the Baker's Bay event over the past weekend. So local boy here from the Central East region, turning out, showing up really good for the guys and gals out here. And I tell you, Captain Ed's one of the best in the world.
All right, man. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Central East region offshore. Dolphin and tuna at the 75 to 100 mile mark. Concentrate on the temperature breaks on the eastern edge of the Gulf Stream and find packs of birds working over these fish on your radar. And then inshore, speckled trout in the Mosquito Lagoon. Use saltwater 5-inch dye dappers rigged weedless on a VMC hook near the mullet pods.
That's
Brie.
a good note on the love bugs, because
Yeah,
that
man.
season is definitely here. All right, have no fear. The Strike Zone Northeast region is here with a report and photos that will knock your socks off. Right, Tommy?
That's right, Brie. I like that. Guys, I don't personally catch a bunch of tunas, but I tell you what, I'm really glad that I have some good buddies that do, because they're definitely one of my favorites to eat. We do have a great fishery here in the Strike Zone Northeast region for blackfin tuna. The best time of year to target those fish is going to be when the water is a little cooler, through the winter up until about this time of year. And then we have another little run of them heading into the fall. Most anglers are going to target those tuna right on the ledge in about 180 to 200 feet of water. They're very much structure-oriented, and you're going to want to look for those structures that are holding a good amount of bait. A common technique is going to be to pull cedar plugs in blue or white, or ballyhoos rigged on sea witches, and a variety of other lures. I spoke to Dave from Strike Zone, and he tells me he's selling a bunch of these small islanders with the pointy heads, as well as the Billy Bait mini turbo slammers. So you might want to go pick a few of those up. They seem to be flying off the shelves right now. You really want to run those plugs way back, somewhere in that 100 to 200 yard range. The tunas, they can be pretty boat shy and a little spooky. Now, something that just about every offshore captain I talked to this week told me is that it almost always seems like the rougher the ocean is, the better those tuna fish are going to bite, probably because it makes them less shy. So get your sea legs ready if you're going to get out and catch some tuna. Now, we do have some yellowfin tuna around as well, and you can occasionally catch those guys in the same areas you'll find the blackfin. But if you really want to target the yellowfin, you're going to have to make a long run, probably towards the east side of the Gulf Stream. Now, staying offshore, I spoke to Captain Jimmy Laidler from thelegendfishing.com, and he tells me the mutton snapper bite is on right now. Jimmy said they're chewing in those 140 to 170 foot depths east of St. Augustine, and he's really keen in on those smaller live bottom spots. Jimmy says those areas are going to hold more crabs, and he thinks that's what those big muttons are probably down there looking for. Now, he's using a big Boston mackerel or a whole sardine for bait, and he's rigging them on a 50-foot, 40-pound fluorocarbon leader. That's a long leader. Jimmy says that extra long leader makes a big difference in getting the bite. And he also said the big mangoes are starting to show up in better numbers, and I know all the offshore guys are really looking forward to the mango spawn coming up over the next couple of months, and I'm sure I'll have some more reports on that. I've got a photo here. This is Captain Jimmy and Thomas Combs with some of those monster muttons I was just talking about. How about the size of a couple of those things?
Those are some serious muttons, man.
Monsters.
All right, let's go inshore, Bubba.
We're back to an early morning high tide this weekend, and that means it's going to be a great weekend to toss some topwater plugs for redfish and for trout, for that matter. The Rapala skitter walk in the trout pattern has been working really well for me and my clients early in the morning. I'm just targeting mullet schools along the grass lines on that higher tide stage. I also spoke to Captain Buzz Brannon from NortheastFloridaAngling.com. He tells me he's had a great redfish bite this week in the Sisters Creek area in Jacksonville. Buzz says the bite's been best on the last couple hours of that afternoon low tide. He's fishing the deeper creek holes with a quarter-ounce jig head and a live shrimp and just letting it bump along the bottom. Captain Buzz also said he's found that the creeks that are holding the bigger and more schools of finger mullet have been holding the most redfish, especially those bigger slot fish. And speaking of slot fish, I have another picture here. Erin Johnson sent me this photo of her niece, Riley, with her very first slot redfish that she reeled in all by herself. That's an awesome fish. Way to go, Riley.
You go, girl.
That Riley, that's a good one for a tournament. Look how thick he is, Bree.
Oh, yeah. She's going to weigh in.
So moving on, more and more flounder are showing up across the region this week. It seems like the fish have been somewhat concentrated around the structure near the inlet. Your docks, riprap, and any kind of submerged structure should be holding a few nice flounder this weekend. Captain Rob Bennett from coastalfish.net, he's telling me he's been doing really well around the St. Augustine Inlet, as well as around the docks in the downtown St. Augustine area. He's using a quarter-ounce, even up to a half-ounce jig head, depending on the tide, how hard it's ripping. I'm using a mud minnow or a small finger mullet. He's just dragging them slowly across the bottom, right along the pilings of the rock. An hour on either side of the tide has been the best bite, and those flounder, they're averaging about 1 to 3 pounds, and there are some bigger ones mixed in there. And speaking of bigger flounder, I got one last photo. Captain Rob Bennett sent me this picture of Kara Corbett with a big flounder that she caught right there near the St. Augustine Inlet.
All right, thank you so much, Tommy. Great pictures this week, as always. And here are the hot spots from the Northeast Strike Zone region. He says inshore, flounder under the docks around downtown St. Augustine. On the last couple hours of the afternoon, negative low tide, fish mud minnows or finger mullet on the bottom along the pylons. And then offshore, those mutton snappers in 140 to 170 foot depths. Target them with small live baits on the live bottom areas with Boston mackerel or maybe even a whole sardine, Bree.
Don't you mean Boston? All right, we've got one last region to cover here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and that is the Casa Vieja Southeast region. So stay with us, anglers. We'll be right back. Hey, Kubota.
Kubota, new one intact.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Suffix, always use the best line. The IGFA, Fish for the World. Sportsman's Adventures, fishing for adventure. And Bells, everything you need to live life local.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
Out here, you need the power to control your environment, or it may control you. The power of the Kubota L2501 DT. It comes with all the easy-to-use implements you need, and the kind of comfort that delivers a satisfied smile all day long. Get the L2501 DT for as low as $139 a month with 0% APR financing for 84 months, plus a 6-year warranty.
Find a Kubota dealer near you at gokubota.com.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of new and used car and truck inventory in Southwest Florida. Our used vehicle inventory goes through a 120-point inspection process performed by certified technicians. Exclusive to Florida Insider Fishing Report viewers is our Peace of Mind Harbor Truck Warranty. If you don't see what you're looking for, give us a call and we can get it for you. Go to harbortrucks.com and click on the Florida Insider Fishing Report tab.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about, does the power pole add a lot of weight to the transom of the boat? And simply, guys, it doesn't. Now we're talking about a bracket that weighs anywhere between 5 and 7 pounds, and depending on the model that you get, our micro is 7 with the blade, 10-foot blade, being 27 pounds. So simply, we're not going to add a lot of weight. You're not going to change the draft of the boat. You're not going to have to re-prop your boat. And more importantly, the pumps have been mounted in the floor so that they're out of the way and not on the transom. So many times when we add weight to the boat, it affects the performance, and that's not going to happen by adding 2 power poles. So if you have any questions whatsoever, you can either go online to powerpole.com or you can go down to your local dealer. And that's today's Power Pole tip of the week.
All right, we're closing in on the Casa Vieja Southeast region with Captain Captain Jimbo Thomas. Tell us what's biting, but more importantly, what's not biting. Do you see what I did there?
Okay, you got it, Brie. Hey, Rick and Dave as well. You know, the 2 main types of tuna that we catch here in the Southeast region are blackfin and yellowfins. And unfortunately, we don't catch too many yellowfins. Now, in February through March, February and March, there's usually some bluefin tuna sightings, but they're not something that is really targeted down in this area. The blackfins are the most common. We find them throughout the year, but late April through mid-July is when we do catch the most and the biggest blackfins, so that's right now. Now, we can generally get blackfin bites throughout the day, but since they are low-light feeders, early in the morning, then late in the afternoon up until dark are the best times. And then if you have an overcast day, a lot of times they'll bite throughout the day. Now, in the past week, there have been 15 to 35-pound blackfins being caught throughout the region. They've been biting live herrings, pilchards, and sardines. You want to fish those based under the kite, or you can fish them on flat lines or drift them in the 100 to 200-foot range. Now, what we like to do on the Thomas Flower is use 20-pound tackle, use 30 to 40-pound fluorocarbon leaders, and 5/0 to 6/0 circle hooks. And if you can catch enough bait to live chum with, that'll really get them going. But fortunately, those pilchards have been non-existent down in the Miami area, at least not enough to chum with. Then there's also been a few blackfins caught on the troll using small feathers and lures and small rig baits, but those larger fish are going to be caught on the live baits. Now, I got a photo here, and this is the crew from the River Oyster Bar, which is a great place downtown Miami, with a nice catch of blackfin tunas and kingfish this past Monday. Now, staying offshore, some of the best kingfish action that we see here in the Southeast region is right here around the full moon of May, which is right now. I believe the full moon is on Friday night. Now, throughout the region, kings from 10 to 30 pounds and larger are being caught on live herrings and pilchards, fished under the kite or on the drift. You want to fish anywhere from about 90 to 140 feet of water. In the south end of the region, the fishing seems to be best from the Key Biscayne area north to the Hulliver Inlet area. And then up in the north end of the region, it seems to be best up in the Hillsborough Inlet area. Now, the bigger fish are going to be caught on big baits like a Speedo or a Blue Runner. You can put that bait under the kite or drift it, and you might want to put a stinger rig on it to ensure that you don't get any short bites. And the bite has been steady throughout the day, but early in the morning and late afternoon, that's when it's been the best. Now, moving inshore, tarpon action has been really good throughout the entire region. All of the inlets and their adjacent beaches have been alive with tarpon up to 100 pounds or bigger. In the north end of the region, a live mullet has been the preferred bait, and then to the south end, live crabs have been the best bait. Now, the tide isn't much of a factor when you're fishing the inlets, just so long as you got some water moving. And then all of the bridges of the ICW have also been holding tarpon, and they've been feeding on both live crabs and the live mullet, and other live baits like pinfish will also work. The bridges have been best at night. You want to fish the shadow lines on an outgoing tide, and the inlets have been best in the early mornings and into the evenings. And then the flats of the south, at the south end of the region, have been seeing some great permit fishing. And with the full moon that we've got going on, we've been experiencing some real extreme tides, both lows and highs. And those fish have been favoring the outgoing tide. Look for hard bottom flats with lots of moving water. Anywhere from Caesars Creek and the Broad Creeks areas is great, but from Soldiers Key south for the most part. Most of these fish have been swimming or cruising versus tailing, and a live crab placed in their path that'll usually get a bite. And since this is mostly sight fishing, wait for the sun to come up to get some good visibility. You want to fish, say, between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., and then if there's overcast conditions, try working over some light-colored bottom. And most of these permit have been in the 12 to 25-pound range.
Jimbo, thank you so much. Great report from the Casa Vieja Southeast region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the R&R tackle hotspots. Jimbo says drift live crabs and mullet off the beaches or your local inlet for evening tarpon, or maybe on the higher phases of the tide, look for the schools of permit along the edges of the flat and the islands in 3 to 4 feet of water. And then offshore, fish live baits under a kite or drift in 90 to 200 feet of water late in the day for blackfins, kingfish, and sailfish.
Ooh, all right, Rick, we've talked the tuna talk, but when we return, we're telling you what species we're walking next week, so stay tuned.
Maybe the camera guy's letting it out of the bag.
Oh, well.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Master your most challenging offshore experience with confidence and ease with Yamaha Helmmaster. Precise, intuitive control on the open seas. Unrivaled ease for maneuvering and docking in port. And now SetPoint adds 3 new dimensions to boat control. Maintain boat position with fish point, or a position and heading with stay point, or a heading while you drift with drift point. Yamaha Helmmaster, now with SetPoint. Complete digital control for today's larger offshore boats.
For the bass that thinks it's a bulldog. For the walleye that thinks it's a freight train. For the tuna that thinks it's a torpedo. For the tarpon that thinks it's a tarpon. You need the mono that thinks it's a braid. Suffix Advance. New Advanced Mono with HMPE braid molecules for strength, abrasion resistance, and low stretch. Suffix Advance. The mono that thinks it's a braid.
Be sane. Don't fritter away your time. Create. Act. Take a place wherever you are. And be somebody. Get action.
sure to tune in next week because we are talking about redfish. I was trying to make it a surprise, but on the way out, they gave
teased
us
you.
They did. They teased everybody.
So, Brie, what do you
What's
think
all
about
this?
our new jerky sponsor from Texas?
Guys, I was not a jerky lover, and I am now a huge jerky fan. This teriyaki beef jerky by Prospect.
And they've got
is amazing.
bacon.
I am going to use our own promo code.
Good bacon.
But they have
really
steaks,
good bacon.
They have
everything.
chicken, quail, bison, also venison.
Bacon.
Yeah, so there's a menu
Bacon.
here.
Yeah, Prosecco.
Father's Day is coming up, people.
Yeah.
How great would that be to just
Yes.
get a big slab of meat on your front doorstep for Father's
No
Day?
more ties.
That sounds good.
No more aftershave. I'll take meat, please.
Yeah, no more socks, no more
Send-
underwear, no more ties.
We'll send you some
Ties.
four different steaks, Dave, for your
That'd be
Father's
awesome.
Day. Huh?
That sounds good. All right, guys.
Meat.
Thanks for tuning in.
You get no
I get
meat.
no meat. We'll see you next week for Redfish. Have
How
a
you
good
like
weekend.
telling a supermodel that?